Jake, who got the seltzers for us? Never heard of this brand before, Vizzy. You ever drank these, Curdy?
No,
Like,
that's the
right.
first time.
Even on your construction days, the long shifts, you never down some of these?
Nah, dude, all the other construction workers were making fun of me for the antioxidants.
You trying to be fucking healthy? We only eat Slim Jims here, bud. You gotta drink that with a Slim Jim straw. Drinking that regularly? Only eat things covered in Twinkies. I feel like every time I go to a gas station and construction workers are buying lunch, I'm just like, oh God, this is a disaster waiting to happen. You're gonna build things after this? Like, it should be illegal. Like, it should be illegal for cops to eat shit like that too. They eat horribly. Could you imagine you like have to catch a criminal and you just ate like a fat ass sandwich from fucking Jimmy John's or something, or like ate a big ass hoagie grinder, like a meatball sub covered in cheese and fucking pork sandwich, and you're like, oh God, all right, scene of the crime, here we go.
We'll get you next time, bud.
Yeah. I know. Welcome to the goods. We hate the blue collar man. I'm just kidding. Jerry's a blue collar man now, working for Andre, a YoYoExpert, packing boxes. What the heck? He just texted me, by the way. I don't know why. Was the skating logo similar to this? Oh, asking me about yo-yo stuff. That new yo-yo he made, it looks like really similar to a Spitfire graphic.
Oh, that's sick.
It looks very similar, but like I wonder if there's like a really old photo of someone wearing it. There's got to be a photo from like the 80s of someone wearing it because it's old as fuck, but yeah, it's great. Good stuff. I'm sorry I'm interrupting the pod. We're going to have a second of dead air while I stand laundry.
That's all good.
I'll cut it out. It's all pretend. Everything's pretend. Right, Jerry? The world's pretend.
It's all a dream.
What do you guys say now? Kids your age, time is a fallacy or what?
Yeah, something like that.
Or a construct. Time's a construct.
Yeah.
Or gender too. And weight.
Everything's a construct.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, time is a dimension.
Is it?
It actually, I mean, it's relative. Yeah. A lot of people think it's a dimension, I think.
That's interesting. That's a little too deep for this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Where is he? Did we show you any of these photos from the magazines we were looking through?
Oh, I think I saw some on Jake's story.
Yeah, they're so great. He took a couple I didn't see, but this page with like a
Oh, shit.
pretty naughty wrestling ad, and it's just like Dale Oliver. Like, did you see this? It's like Dale Oliver. That's not the crazy part. The crazy part is like the whole layout where you see,
Yeah.
and it's like Rick Wyatt. Next, I don't know. Val Venus, whatever her name is. It's too old for you guys. I'm sorry. All right. All right, Jerry, we'll get started for real. How did you start yo-yoing?
I went to middle school with Aiden Coach,
Okay.
James Liptak.
So this is a long period of hatred between you and Aiden.
Is there?
We'll get to it later.
Okay.
Look at Curtis.
Apparently he wants to assassinate you, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But you're also his favorite yo-yoer. So,
Mixed emotions.
And favorite white person.
yeah.
The question was, though, who's his least favorite white person? And I think he answered you, but then he also said that you're one of his favorite white people. So it evens out. Yeah.
Make
I
up
don't
your
know.
mind, Aiden.
Huh?
Make up your mind, Aiden.
Yeah. He just wants, I guess he's okay with you just existing as
Yeah.
long as you don't have a positive or negative time.
I just exist in purgatory.
Yeah. Oh, they got to move you around like a Catholic priest from yo-yo store to yo-yo store. And you'll be a yo-yo loco next in the Colorado mountainside. All right. So you went to middle school with Aiden and James.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So they've been yo-yoing for that long, James too, or
they've been yo-yoing both of them since like 6th grade.
Aiden's 21 now.
Yeah.
Okay. He bought a beer the other night at the carnival, and I was like, "Whoa,
He's a big boy now.
look at this guy." You guys are 21 too, though, right?
No, I'm 20, but Aiden and James are 21.
Okay. Yeah, James was drinking too.
Yeah.
It was a good time the other night.
My man loves a good down east.
Yeah.
Aiden,
Talking about
James.
yeah, he was on the down east hard. Yeah.
what is that? The brewery?
They're like hard ciders.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was like the ice pop one I had the other night.
that's interesting. It seems like a very James thing to drink.
Yeah.
He just drinks a hard cider and talks about hats.
Yeah. Down east and fitteds. He's a simple man.
Those are pretty complicated, though. Fermented apple alcohol bevs and hella complicated embroidered fitteds.
Floral Orioles hat.
Yeah, they look cool, but like I've seen them popping up on social media lately, and I'm like, since when are fitteds cool again? And then I saw James wearing one, and I was like, whoa! So like they're back.
Bro's got a collection. He's got like 6 or 7 of them now.
Yo-Yo's already went through a fitted hat phase in the early 2010s before you guys were yo-yoing. It was a funny time. It was when Curdy was younger.
Yeah.
Did you have some new era caps, Curdy?
Now you got my first Supreme New Era. What was it, like the 5950 or
Yeah,
whatever? Yeah.
He said I got my first Supreme. I feel like I've seen pictures of you wearing them. Like,
Because it was fucking John Rob. I saw John Rob wearing Supreme.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had a little collection.
yeah, that's funny. Everyone, when they're younger, though, doesn't really read the product descriptions. They would end up buying like a wool cap and then wearing it in like the middle of July and just being like, all right, cool. Like, it's cool, but it just looks like very uncomfortable because it's like, oh, Christ. It's like watching a kid wear a beanie in the middle of the summer. So you guys started yo-yoing in middle school?
They did.
They
and
did.
like I tried to pick it up in middle school, but I never really got anywhere.
What were you
with
into
it.
instead?
Video games. Like I was into
Oh,
like
okay.
collecting like retro Nintendo stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Even at that age, you were into retro stuff? Or?
I was like super. Do you know who Angry Video Game Nerd is?
Mm-mm.
Is like this guy, and you just like play this character. It's like super like juvenile humor, and you just say like shit and fuck a bunch.
It's cool though. I follow this guy on Instagram called like Pocket Legends or Pocket Handheld Legends, and he just like restores old Game Boys and stuff and like puts new LCD screens on them and
that's
shit.
sick.
Yeah, it's really cool. But like, yeah, people are really into it. I had no idea that they're pretty simple machines, all things
Yeah.
considered. You know what I mean? It's not as crazy as like a PS5 would be. You know?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Did you like build any consoles or anything, or what? What was your level of interest in vintage video games?
I was more of like a collector.
Okay.
Like I mean, as much of a collector as you can be when
It's a
you're.
cool thing to collect when you're a kid, I feel
Yeah.
like, because you can track all the different, it's like not super expensive. You can track all the different, like, they've already come out. So you're like, oh, I'm going to get all the Super Marios.
Yeah,
I'm going to get all the shit like that. So it's cool. Did you get any cool merch from back in the day? There's so much cool video game t-shirts and stuff from back in the 80s and 90s that are worth shit tons of money now.
I
But
didn't have like anything vintage, but I had this like Wind Waker like Velcro wallet.
what? Wind Waker? Is that a game?
Yeah, it's like this Zelda game for the GameCube.
Okay.
It's like it's supposed to look like stained glass,
Okay.
and it's like Link on the front.
Was it like printed on it, or was it like actually translucent material?
No, it was just printed.
Damn, that would be cool if they made it out of like that really crappy vinyl material
Yeah.
you could see through. That'd be awesome.
That'd be tight.
That's cool though. Were you friends with James and Aiden around this time though? And
Yeah.
did you maintain friendship with them throughout this time? Or
Yeah,
did you
we had
guys-
this friend group that we called the Posse.
just the posse.
The
no?
Posse.
Okay. Aiden didn't tell us about the posse. I wonder why.
The Posse was something else.
He just drank and tried to forget about the posse. What'd you guys do? What was the posse vibe? What did you guys get
We got
into?
sent to the principal's office a lot.
A lot. What? You guys were troublemakers like that?
Yeah.
What did you do to get sent to the principal's office? I only got in-school suspension one time because I used my phone in class when my grandma died. And they sent me a text message.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was funny. But what did you guys get sent to the principal's office for?
A lot of food related shenanigans.
Like throwing food and
Yeah,
shit?
really.
Okay. Well, that's not so bad.
Slipping a cup of beans under someone's seat right before they sat down.
That's funny. That's a good prank. I'd be like, boys will be boys, but you are also suspended. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jerry. You can't keep doing this to those kids. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Caleb Pirog.
His name was Caleb. More Calebs need to have beans under their ass, to be honest. Curdy was telling me about the other day he was friends with a kid with like Down syndrome or a special needs kid at his school, and him and all of his friends were just like super vibing with him and like teaching him curse words and fun stuff, and the teachers were always like very concerned about it, but the kid was just like very gung-ho about hanging out with him. Yeah. What was his name, Curdy? Do you remember? Just his first name. Nate. You got 1,000 miles stare right now like, oh man, good old Nate. Oh man.
Cool.
The only people I was friends with in high school were the pregnant girls. I mean, I was friends with a lot of different people, but you know, I guess I was just very concerned about like how they ended up that way. You know how they end up that way, but just, you know, the pathways. Because I don't know, when you guys were kids, didn't you have like an inherent sense of danger? Like, oh man, this is like wrong place, wrong time. I shouldn't be here right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just feel like kids that end up like that just don't. Something's up with their psyche where it's like not introducing like the firewall of like, ah, shit, I'm gonna get burned right now. I better not do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, what's your earliest memory of Curdy and I?
My earliest memory of Curdy was watching your MAR 2016 freestyle. Like, that was one of my earliest favorite freestyles. The one where you did, like, all the man bun tricks with the knot.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you got a knot and
that
then
was,
just kept yo-yoing? That's cool.
Yeah, it was like King of Prussia, right?
Yeah,
That's
I think
legendary.
That was, yeah, Tyler was emceeing and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember James showed me that one day.
Sick.
Damn, that's funny. James like, watch this. It was sick.
Yeah.
Look, he gets a knot.
Yeah, like, he's just like, I was the one that told him to do man bun tricks. I don't know about that, James, but okay.
Fucking James. He's like, I was the one that told him to do that. That's awesome. I met this guy one time at a school. I was like going to pick up yo-yos, and he was just like a parent there picking up his kid, and he was in like full Domino's regalia. And like I was just joking like, oh, thank you for your service. And he like laughed a little bit, and I was like, no, seriously, I probably eat Domino's like 50 times a year. Like it's awful, but I love it. And he's like, oh, it's funny. And then he started asking about yo-yos and like how they worked and all this shit. And he goes, you know, I invented the cookie dough milkshake. I was like, what the fuck did you just say? I didn't say that. I was like, oh, cool. And then the secretary was like, what? No, you didn't. And then he's like, no, I did. Like Domino's, like they got it. Like they had the idea first. I told them to make the cookie dough milkshake. I put the cookie dough in the ice cream and I mixed it up. I brought it to them. They wouldn't make it though. She was like, I don't believe you. I was like, why are you entertaining this man right now? Please just give me my things so I can leave. Good times. What about the earliest memory of me? Was it probably from that video? MCing?
Yeah, probably. But I was also like really big into recess when I first started. Like,
Okay,
the
cool.
Diplomat was like my favorite yo-yo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a couple bad ones in the returns at YoYoExpert if you want them. I saw them today.
Diplomats?
Yeah, it just says vibe question mark.
It's a vibe.
It is a vibe.
Good yo-yo.
It's a vibe.
Yeah. What's your earliest Andre memory?
Going to YoYoExpert to buy a flight.
What?
Yeah. And they were closed that day.
That's so funny. Just before this, I was practicing foray with the flight because Curdy and I have a show tomorrow at Andre's kids' school. And I was talking to Jerry and I'm like, man, this yo-yo is so awful. Like, who uses this? And then Curdy was like, man, there's like hundreds of flights in stock on YoYoExpert. And Jerry's like, yeah, we have like 1,000 of them. I was like, what?
There's a lot.
He's like, yeah, but every day someone buys a flight, surefire.
Yeah, so I
And one day that was you. You went to YoYoExpert to buy it.
it was on a Sunday, and they're usually closed on Sundays, but he was there because they were filming tutorials with Ben Condi.
Oh god,
And he was like the reason I wanted to do
that's
offshore.
awesome.
Yeah, so I went there and I was like, do you have flights? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, do you like Ben Condi? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, do you want to meet him?
That's sick.
And I was like shaking, like it was like meeting a
crying.
celebrity. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a great story. That's the type of shit when you're a kid that really hammers home the like yo-yo nostalgia memories where you're like, I was going to buy a flight and I was watching all these Ben Condi freestyles and I saw him there filming, and like it just makes it seem so much larger than life.
Yeah.
Does YoYoExpert seem smaller now than when you were a kid? Like, I'm sure when you were like 13, you were walking in like, this place is like fucking Walmart. This is crazy. And then
Yeah.
now you're like, it's still pretty big, but like it's a little more manageable.
Yeah.
Like. That's funny. What else did you go to YoYoExpert often as a kid, or did you go to A to Z like before then? Or
I went to YoYoExpert more like, and then the like spring of 2017, I started going to A to Z for the yo-yo school.
of 2017?
Yeah.
Damn, that was late.
Yeah.
So James and Aiden had already been going for like
Yeah.
4 or 5 years at that
Yeah.
point. Damn. And then you decided to go one day?
Yeah,
or-
I was like, screw it, I'm gonna go.
How old were you? Like 13 or 14?
Yeah, like 14.
Damn, I can't believe Aiden's been yo-yoing for that long. What made you like change your mind about it, or?
I don't know. Like, I guess I just didn't really know how frequently it happened. Like, I thought like yo-yo school was just like a monthly thing.
Yeah. How old were you then? You said 13?
Yeah, 14.
14. That's like a good age where a lot of your friends start going into different directions in their school lives. You know what I mean? They start like getting serious academically or like involved in sports or something, and you're looking for a belonging in a community, and you're like, whoa, like all these cool guys meet constantly, and some of my good friends are here. And like, especially when you're that age, if you're into just like even the littlest bit of cooler shit, you're into like indie music, or and hanging out with Aiden, I'm sure he was into like all that cool shit very
Yeah.
young, that you're like, oh, like this is like a cool club that like no one else knows about that I'm in, and like I'm a cool kid.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
it's dope. Yeah, it's fun when you're that age, and it's like genuinely interesting and like a vibe, you know? It's still that way when you're older, but like the mystique gets lost, just like we were saying when you were young. YoYoExpert seems so big, and then
Yeah.
now that you're older and you work there, you're like, oh god. Like,
It's a great job though, like especially compared to what I was doing before. Like,
yeah, say what you were doing before if you're allowed to, or if you just did you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement so you're not allowed to talk about your job.
oh no, I
Okay.
can do that. So I mean, well, I was working as a fertilizer merchandiser first, and then I stopped doing that and I started working at Stop and Shop as in the produce department.
What is that? Just a grocery store?
Yeah, it's a
Okay,
grocery
cool.
store. So that's where these waters are from.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah,
I don't know how old those are. I hope they taste okay.
they're all right. Not too much microplastics.
Yeah, I mean, you're already intaking a lot anyway, so
Yeah.
it's a thick bottle. We were just talking about how thick these bottles are. But then you worked at Stop and Shop, and then
Yeah, so like it was terrible. Like the managers were terrible. They're so mean, and like there's black mold in all the back rooms.
did you
Like,
file a OSHA?
My friend
OSHA
did. My friend.
complaint?
I have this friend Connor who like he's
He's like Remy. He's just hella rebellious.
he's like the definition of like black Air Force One energy.
yeah, that's sick.
So like he'd never wear his uniform. So like he'd like pull up in like a navy fleece.
He's like, it's illegal to make me wear the uniform.
like,
actually."
he's like Connor, wear
What?
your uniform, and he'd be like, "Okay, I'll wear my uniform, but then I'm gonna call OSHA on you."
For this black mold,
Yeah.
and they're like, he's got a point. The kid's got a point.
I mean, he had them.
let him wear the polo, whatever he wants to do. That's so funny. He's bending him over. He probably still works there.
No, he got fired.
They finally fired
Yeah,
him.
they fired him because he wouldn't stop threatening to call OSHA.
God, that's a smart kid though. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So they sucked. The manager sucked there.
yeah.
Yeah, if they don't take care of black mold, especially when it's a fucking corporate problem, someone else is gonna come pay to take care of it.
So like, I was working there, and then it was funny. Like I was complaining to my mom how terrible the job was, and she was like, "Oh, like why don't you reach out to Andre and see if there's any openings at A to Z or YoYoExpert?" And like I kid you not, like the day after that, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing for work?"
That's amazing
I know.
timing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And that's such a good feeling too when Andre taps you to do stuff like so. So like as you are getting older and you realize like how much responsibility and stuff Andre has and everything
Yeah.
he does, like wow, he like trusts me and wants me to be like contributing member of this whole hierarchy of things he has going on. It's awesome. Like it's a good feeling.
Yeah,
That's so cool though that your mom suggested that. When I was a kid, John Robb, like a friend of Curdy and I, is like the older black dude who we used to play 5A with, used to always, when I was a kid and I was like 12, 13, I'd be like, how do people like get jobs? Or like, what do they do? Like you just, this is before like, you know, you go on monster.com and just be like, oh, or Indeed or be on LinkedIn or whatever. And he was just like, you know, like if you're in the hood or like you're black or Hispanic, like you go apply at like a fast food restaurant or somewhere. But most white people know someone who owns a business. You just get a job that way. And I was like, damn, for real? And he's like, yeah, most of the time it's kind of wild actually. And literally like a year later for Yo-Yo Club, Joe Mitchell was like, hey, Tyler, do you want a job running Yo-Yo Club? And I was like, damn, John Rob's right. Like white people just have it so much easier. Like it's funny. You're like, oh yeah, like I got the job at the fertilizer thing for my uncle, and then
Yeah.
Andre's like, hey bud, like what are you doing for work? Like, It's so dope though. It's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, yeah, that's funny. So how long have you worked at YoYoExpert for now?
About a month now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like pretty chill compared to the Stop and Shop gig.
Very
Did you have another job between Stop and Shop and YoYoExpert or? Oh no, you said you were like, oh my God, excuse me. It's Larry King live in this bitch. You were saying that, you were complaining to your mom about it and then Andre texted you the next day. That's wild timing.
Yeah.
So obviously you're like, yeah, fuck this job. Did you put in like a 2 weeks?
Nah,
or
I
you
just quit.
You
Quit on the
just
spot.
quit on the spot?
Yeah.
Like Andre didn't even send you any details. You were like, oh, I have another opportunity. I'm gone. Like,
They like hired me at the interview.
oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it was obviously not a super professional environment. That's.
Oh no, like Andre hired me at the interview.
I know. I just mean like the Stop and Shop gig.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
That's funny. Oh yeah, when I was interviewing Eric and we were talking about when he was a kid and on Omega, and then he wanted to get on Yo-Yo Jam, he was still like wearing a big Omega jersey, which is like an expensive ass soccer jersey with all this printed shit all over it, but he's using a Hitman, and like obviously all of us can see he's using a Hitman, but like no one at Yo-Yo or Omega knows that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, damn, like kids really have no couth about like quitting something, you know what I mean? They're just like, all right, peace, like thanks for everything. It's funny. But you like it though? That's
Yeah, I love it. I couldn't ask for a better job. Andre and Devin are such good bosses.
yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're great. Ever since everything I ever do for them, like I don't know. You know how like when you work a regular job and you're like, I don't want to ask anyone for like a favor or like anything, and then they're just always like, what do you need? Like, how can we help you? Because it's like they hired you because they respect you and trust you and want you to work for them and do a good job and all that kind of shit. So it's like nice when an employer actually reciprocates that. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I don't know. YoYoFactory was like that a lot too, where it's just like, wow, these guys like really trust me and want to see me succeed and like give you all the tools to do that. I want to like harp back on your earliest Andre memory though, just because like, so you went to YoYoExpert and you saw Ben Condi, you hung out with him for a bit there, or like,
Yeah, I got a autographed Ben Condi YoYoExpert card.
that's awesome.
I still have that.
Yeah, there was supposed to be like a big push for him to be like the figure in yo-yoing around that time, but like it just never panned out because he like had to get a real job and like.
He was trying to make yo-yo like his full-time gig, I think. Right?
Yeah, he did some amazing videos around that time. I don't know if you watched them.
Like the vlogs and stuff.
Yeah, of him like
those are really
going to
cool.
the beach with Anne and then like just randomly yo-yoing, and then when like someone would come up and it was the opposite sex because they're both like heterosexual, but they'd like, if it was like a hot girl or a hot guy, they'd like ask for their number, and it's off the strength of them yo-yoing, like, oh, I'm just hanging out yo-yoing in public, and like, oh, hot girl comes up, let me ask for her number because she thought that my yo-yo trick was cool. And it's just cool to see that happen, you know what I mean? And it was dope. That content was dope. He did a lot of really cool videos like that. Yeah.
It was right in line with like what was popular at the time, like outside of yo.
That stuff is still really popular, I feel like, you know what I mean?
It is.
It could do well. Like anytime you introduce a girl into any sort of content that's not supposed to be with a girl, like
Right.
nerdy shit or
Confuses people.
not saying that women don't belong in that content, but it's just like historically they're not like those aren't the most inclusive communities. It's not like yo-yoing where it's like, oh, please, like, come, we'll give you your own division and like any way we can help you. Or we're like skateboarding now where like it's such a popular thing, like ladies skateboard footwear, because like they have a slightly narrower foot, so like the footwear can be a little bit different, and like Nike and Adidas and all these companies see that and it's like, oh, we'll make a lady specific footwear line, and it's dope, you know what I mean, that they're getting that kind of attention, and it works. Like when you see kids like that are of different races or different genders coming in and yo-yoing, they yo-yo like the people that look like them, you know what I mean? So it's cool to see. What else? I want to hear some other Andre memories. I'm trying to think of other good, because he's not. Have you ever seen Andre mad? That's one question I have. Right? Yeah, never in your life, right? How about you, Kurt? Have you ever seen him mad?
Definitely not.
Never. Yeah.
And like, especially when I was younger and like I'd go to A to Z, like me and the kids my age, like we'd do some stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like one time my friend Eli that would come to Yo-Yo Club, he told me to put Oreos in my replay and then throw it, and it made a fucking mess.
It's pretty fucking funny though. Like I could see Andre getting a kick out of that.
You know, and like he was so nice about it. I was just like, "Do you have a vacuum?" And he was like, "Yeah." Like he was so chill about it.
But he loves that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like he's a big kid at heart. He's great.
What
Like
do you mean though? Oreos in your, like, could they fit in the side or something?
So like,
yeah, you know how Replay has that big recess in it?
yeah. So like I smushed the side with like the cream like into the cap of the replay.
Thinking it would kind of stick a little bit.
But the second I threw it, it just like exploded and went everywhere.
That's amazing.
It's like ketchup mod level shit. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I remember like when I was a kid at the Yo-Yo Club that we went to, we would like get pizza and just like eat it on the floor at Yo-Yo Club or like, and that's not a cool thing to do at a regular retail store. You can't just like barge in and like be taking up part of the sales floor. You know what I mean? That's not all right. And when I was a kid and would come to A to Z and like Jack and his wife still owned it, they were like just a little more conservative and not like, it's a fucking business. You shouldn't be able to do that. You know what I mean? But like, I remember Andre when I was a kid being like, hey man, like just be chill about this kind of stuff. Like you can't just, it's not Mitchell's, you know what I mean? But he was very nice about it, you know? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, you're right. Like, my bad. And Joe, like, he would have talks with me about that too. Like, you know, you can't just do this shit at a regular store. Like the guy who owned Mitchell's, like, you can't just like eat shit on the floor, like get Five Guys and eat greasy fries all over the store. But yeah, now that like Andre is the owner, he basically lets like whatever fly. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's like gets pizza, just has it out front, like everyone eats, like everyone's allowed to like be there drinking. Like, yeah, that was a big thing back in the day. We'd go and like get food or whatever and then try to like eat it or like have a drink and be like, oh, you can't have food in here. And not like in a negative way. It'd be like Eric or someone. Like Andre would never really want to he wouldn't want to harsh the vibe. He'd be like, I'll just let it fly. Like whatever, I don't give a shit. Like be Eric, be like, Jack doesn't like that, man. Be careful in a good way. Like Eric's trying to watch out for everyone. Like oh man, I'm gonna tell a really funny story one time. In 2013, you were definitely not yo-yoing then, right? Yeah. I did a tour with Eric where I stayed at his house, and his brother was away at college at the time. And I was staying in his brother's room. He's like, oh, you can stay in my brother's room and like sleep in there. It was fine. So like his brother wasn't supposed to come back from college for like another month or so. So I had like my clothes everywhere. I'm just like breaking up weed on like the dresser and shit. Like I'm just treating it like my room, you know what I mean? Because he's not coming back for a minute. Like I'm not being disrespectful really. I'm just like using it like a room, you know what I mean? I'm going to clean up after myself later. I'm not making a mess. It looks like the room is now, you know what I mean? It's not in disrepair. It's just like, oh, this is lived in.
Yeah.
And then Eric, we go to A to Z for like the final night, and like it was right before NER Mass States. I think it was NER because like my mom came up and like I competed in a couple different divisions. And like Eric and I like teach all these kids at club, and a bunch of kids come and buy new yo-yos, and like it was a great night. And then like after he's like, hey man, I'm gonna talk to you outside for a minute. I was like, oh shit, like what the fuck did I do? Like I feel awful already. He's like, man, my brother came home early and like found all your weed and stuff in his room. I was like, oh man, my bad. And he's like, yeah, it just like really freaked him out, and like I'm sorry. So like, yeah, you just got to stay at like Andre's house tonight, which I was already planning on going to Andre's house, but it was just like, oh, fuck, man. I feel so bad now that like I made you uncomfortable in your own house. I'm like, oh, fuck. And I got there and I was like expecting to be like, all right, let me go like run into my room and like pack up my shit real quick. And Eric's brother had like packed up all my stuff and it was in bags in their living room.
Oh my God.
And he like walked through the living room and like went and got a drink and just like ignored my presence. And I was just like, I feel awful. I feel so bad. Like it's his room, you know what I mean? I invaded his privacy. Like I felt bad.
Shout out to your high school teacher.
Yes, my high school biodiversity teacher, Kyle Kolaski.
Oh, that's true. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Small world.
Yeah, don't tell him. He's a good guy. I don't blame him, but you know. Holy shit. Oh man, that's hilarious. Holy shit. Damn, I can't believe you guys just played that joke on me. That's great. It's not a joke, but you know what I mean? Have you ever watched Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Like at a very young age.
Oh, okay. Basically, they'll introduce like very loose jokes or concepts at the beginning of the episode, and then at the end there will be like a very hard-hitting punchline that connects all of these tertiary stories together all at once. I can't even really give a good example of it. Like you just have to watch an episode, but it's very similar to that, where it's like I tell a whole story and you're like, oh, guy's my fucking biology teacher. And you're like, what the fuck? When you were in high school or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
My junior year, I had
That's
him.
cool. Yeah. Everyone says that Eric should be a teacher too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see him being
He's a good
teacher.
guy.
Yeah.
Good teacher. Good guy,
guy.
Eric. Yeah, when I was probably like 16, I think, I went to Massachusetts States or NER. I think it was Massachusetts States because it was cold. And Andre was still living in this tiny apartment. And it wasn't tiny. It was like 2-bedroom. It was probably like the size of this room cumulatively, like the whole apartment. And he left early with Dev to go set up at the contest, which was at UMass Amherst. They have like a hall, so probably where the juggling club still meets. I don't know if they do anymore or not, but it had like high ceilings. It was an amazing room. They should have contests back there. But they leave early and I'm stuck behind, and like I get a shower real quick and then I like take a shit and then I go to flush the toilet before we leave and the toilet just starts overflowing.
Oh, no.
Like, everywhere. But like not with dirty shit water, just like regular toilet water. Like all my excrement went through the toilet and just like there must have been 1.5 inches of water in Andre's bathroom.
Oh shit.
And I just had to call Andre, and like him and Dev were already like having so many like tense moments with each other. They work amazingly well together, but it was just like very like, oh, did you not do this? All right, like we got to do it real quick and then we'll go. Or like the night before they're up to like 2:00 in the morning doing shit. And then Andre was telling, were you here this other night when Andre told the story of when we were going through all of his yo-yo drawers and found like a Yo-Yo Jam prototype?
No.
We were over there at Devin Andre's house and he was like Yo-Yo Jam team manager and stuff. And Yo-Yo Jam was trying to make this modular yo-yo with like rims that could pop on and off, and then like a rim that was like had a bearing on the outside, basically like the Nine Dragons. And Andre had like a prototype, but on like the reason he knew that we found it was because someone like pull started it and it made like the Nine Dragons sound. He could hear it in his fucking bedroom. And then he like got up from bed at like 4:00 in the morning, just like, guys, you cannot tell anyone about that yo-yo. We're like, we won't, or we promise we won't. And he's like, I'm serious. Forget you ever saw it. You cannot tell anyone. It was so funny. It was like, we're sorry, Andre. He's like, it's not a big deal. Just like, don't fucking tell anyone. Like, he was still a cool guy, Andre, about it. He was tired. You know what I mean?
He's always a cool guy. Andre.
Yeah, but even the next day when I called him, like, Andre, like I fucking flooded your toilet, the bathroom, like there's not poop anywhere, just like it's just toilet water everywhere, and like, do you want me to put towels down? He's like, yeah, that's fine. Like there was not a single scrap of like malice in his voice of like, yeah, just use the towels. It was just like, yeah, just use the towels. All right, I'll see you guys when you get here. Like, and then I called him after the contest or whatever and apologized and asked if everything was okay and shit. But I still felt awful as a kid, you know what I mean? I used to tell that story for years until everyone was telling me over and over again that I was telling the Andre shit story too much.
Oh my god.
You don't remember me telling that story like all the time for like 5 years straight? I would tell it almost like every contest.
Damn, bro. No, I don't know.
Not on purpose. It's
a good one though.
This would inevitably be a conversation that comes up when everyone's drinking. Is like, oh, Andre's such a nice guy, right? I fucking flooded that guy's apartment with toilet water one time. He didn't even care. Yeah, that's funny. What's your favorite yo-yo to ship at YoYoExpert? What one fits in the box just perfectly, and you could make a video out of it, like an ASMR video?
Actually, the creeps that just dropped.
They fit perfectly into
like you just put it at the top of the box and it just slides right in.
Good plug for the creep. Buy the creep now.
If they're not sold out already.
Yes. Are they? Do you know?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I haven't sent stuff goes quick.
Oh, what's your least favorite? All the baggy yo-yo.
Like
anything that comes in just a baggy.
The metal drifter has this like obnoxiously weird shaped packaging.
It's like a blister, right?
Yeah,
it just
it's like a blister
fits
pack,
to the yo-yo.
So it doesn't fit in anything, and you can't put it in a bubble.
Who's
metal.
buying those?
I think like beginner yo-yoers.
They still make those, or is it just like an excess of stock on?
No, there's a new metal drifter.
What?
Yeah,
and it has like the spinning rim cap on it, or what?
Yeah, I think so. Like the silver body and like the like colored like inside.
That's close. So Dylan and Aiden also think that your last name also perhaps sounds the closest to a yo-yoer that might be named after a disease.
Carboneau's disease.
Yeah, which I agree with, but it's also close, and we talked about this on the last pod too, about how similar it is to an Italian pasta just called carbonara. Have you ever had carbonara before?
I have not.
It's good stuff. I made it for Andre and Dev one time. Isn't that funny?
Serious?
I did.
With like the egg yolk in there and everything?
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
didn't get
God.
pork cheek. I just used like regular nice bacon, but yeah. Andre like literally laughed at me because I was like, oh, like I'll make you guys dinner one night, and he was like, seriously? And I was like, yeah, and he's like, you don't have to. Like, you can just feel the Andre uncertainty through text where he's like, I want to encourage you to do nice things for everyone, but also I don't want you to ruin dinner for everyone.
Was he like expecting you to make like SpaghettiOs or some shit?
I don't
Like-
know that too. Yeah. And I told him, he's like, what are you going to make? And I sent him like a recipe. He's like, you can make this? I was like, yeah, it's fucking easy. Like I dated a girl that had fucking borderline personality disorder. They made it all the time. I can make it.
He's like, oh, okay. All right.
If you can be on
got
lithium
you.
and make carbonara, you can just be sober or off 6 dabs and make carbonara. So yeah, I thought it was really good. I think maybe I added too much like red pepper flake to it or something, and it was very spicy. They ate a lot of it, but yeah, that was a funny interaction. You've never eaten carbonara before?
haven't.
I mean, it's a weird dish. Like especially at any Italian restaurant, it's definitely made with like pork cheek. You know what I mean?
How do you, weird question, but like, how do you say your last name? I've always been a little confused by it, honestly.
It's Carboneau.
Just
Carboneau. So
Okay.
I was
All
right. I probably asked you at a contest
Yeah.
one time or something.
I think my
Okay.
dad corrected you like
That's
while I was
cool.
on stage.
No, that's nice. I like when people tell me those things. Real talk, seriously, because like I have no idea, and it's just like I don't know. Like if I was like a substitute teacher or something, I'm sure kids would be like, "Nah, my name is blah blah blah." But like kids at Yo-Yo Con are just like, "All right, cool." Like they're just ready to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not thinking like my last name is this. Like, the first time I emceed a contest and Blaze was there, I called him Blase. And he like pre-registered, but like I didn't know who he was or didn't know what he looked like, and I'm like, Blase, like Blase, and his dad's like, it's Blaze,
Yo.
Blaze, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, like all right,
Sorry, Jay.
yeah, they probably thought I was way bigger of a pothead than I actually am. Just be like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? Can't even
Yo.
say. Blaze's name is spelled kind of crazy though. What were you saying?
I'll never. Also, I remember like when it was NER 2010 or something. Doug Capinas.
Doug
Ooch out some Doug Capinas. He's like, oh, Capinos. I was like
Doug
10 or 11. I
Capinas,
was like, oh my God.
We gotta clip that in the pod. Holy shit, that's hilarious.
I hope we can find it. Yeah, it's deep in the internet somewhere, hopefully.
It's got to be a prelim up on the YoYoExpert channel or something, or MA State's channel, whatever the fuck.
God, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Another yo-yoer that I went to school with.
Doug Capinos.
Yeah.
Doug's cool. He comes to the Big E for a brief time every year. His parents stopped by the booth last year.
Oh, no way.
And Curdy's parents are both very nice, his mom and dad, and they both like go home to the contest and hang out with everyone's parents and talk about their kids. And like parents are always very good about remembering these things. Next time I'll be like, oh, Doug was about to go to UMass. Like, how's that going? Or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? And Doug's parents are at the booth and they're talking to Curdy and they're like, oh, so like, what are you up to? Like, how's your mom? How's Cindy? How's Michael? How's Michael Curdy Sr.? And he's like telling them everything. And then they're like, he's like trying to be a nice guy. He's like, so how's Doug doing? Like, what's Doug up to? They're like, oh, he just finished school and stuff and he got a job. And he's like, oh, is that here? Like locally? Is he still here? Like, what is he gonna come to the Biggie? Like, no, he lives in Boston. He was just posting about it like 2 weeks ago. Do you like not follow him on social media? They totally called him out about like not following Doug on social media, and it was just like, Jesus Christ, this is slightly uncomfortable.
Oh, no.
One time a kid's parents, Ben Gates, was like doing post-contest interviews, which of course never fucking came out, but like he like some dad was like trying to take a picture of all of his kids on the stage, or like he brought like a bunch of kids to the contest, and it was like right after MAR one year when like it was like one year when like Darnell came and like Darnell missed his flight, so I had to just like book him a new flight. It's not like one of those kids you could just be like, oh yeah, ask your mom to like go buy you a new flight. Like he might have been stuck in Philly for a week or something, so it's like I'll just buy you a new flight so you can get home. And like this yo-yo dad comes up and then he's just like, what's going on here? Like, why can't I use the fucking stage? Like, he didn't say fucking, but he was like genuinely kind of like a douchebag. And he's like, Tyler, like I pay for all these kids' registration. I can't just use the stage for 5 minutes to take photos. And then I was like, and Ben, of course, is being like, I'm the official National Yo-Yo League videographer. I have a press pass right here. Like, it was just normal Ben energy. And I'm just standing there like, guys, like, please, can I just, like, I literally ran the whole contest today on my own. This is the last thing I need to deal with. And, like, the kid's parents, or the kid's mom was, like, not, like, pulling the dad back, but was just being, like, he's always like this. Like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like, I'd feel bad, but, like, God damn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was some other shit. I don't think that kid yo-yos anymore. But I'm still friends with the parents on social media. And of course, like every contest after that, dad would be like, remember me? No, I'm sorry about that. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, my bad, dude. Like, I was also a bit of a jerk. Like, it's a long day. We all can get that way. Like, my bad. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's not like mad boomer energy. You know what I mean? Like, do you have any good Andre stories, Curdy?
Not really.
No. Do you play with every yo-yo that comes in? I'm sorry, Curdy.
No, nothing. I have a lot of good memories with Andre, but nothing that compares to like the toilet overflowing or anything like that. That's incredible.
Yeah. When I was young, I was just like, it's one of those surreal moments where you're like, man, like 3 years ago, I was like obsessively watching this guy on my computer and being like, one day it'd be great to meet this guy. And now I'm overflowing his toilet.
Right.
No, but it's, I don't know. Yeah. Do you play with every new yo-yo that comes in, a yo-yo expert?
Not everyone, but
No.
most of the cool shit I'll try out. Like, whenever like new Turning Point or Yo-Yo Rec stuff comes in,
This is the first time today that I really took note of how big the Turning Point build out is. Like, it's a whole wire rack. I was like, holy shit, he carries like 20 different models or something. That's wild. I'd expect them to be all sold out because I feel like they're all sold out on Kantaro's site, but
a lot of them haven't been like listed on the website yet, and that's why.
yeah, he gets like 2 or 3 models at a time, and then and he only gets like a handful of each color, and then they're all gone. Yeah, I always try to put people on game that way when they're like, man, like this company's yo-yos are so in demand or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look at when YoYoExpert drops their stock and how much they actually post.
Yeah.
Because like,
It's probably 3 in stock.
right. Andre's a very transparent guy and isn't going to withhold stock. Like the Flight Yo-Yo, perfect example, where it's like they have so many in stock. It's like, it's not going to affect a new kid coming to YoYoExpert. He wants an off-string yo-yo because he wants to learn off, or they want to learn off-string. But yeah, it's funny to hear that with Turning Point yo-yos, you know what I mean? I sent a picture the other day to someone that owns a yo-yo company with like the Yo-Yo Rec order with the Yo-Yo Friends order next to it. And I'm like, look, it's one of those big Yo-Yo Rec orders. And it's like, they're literally getting like 200 dubs and it's next to like 16 Yo-Yo Rec yo-yos. And it's like, yeah, no wonder they're sold out. Like, no wonder they're in demand because you literally cannot get them. Like, it's impossible. I don't know.
It all evens out though, but yeah.
No, it totally does. I'm not. It's just funny, the perception, you know what I mean? Because they sell out and people are like, man, like this brand must be printing money right now because they're selling hand over fist yo-yos. It's like, no, they're only making 15 at a time. Like the biggest yo-yo store in the world is only getting 15. So it's like they're not really selling that many. Yeah.
Was that G2 has that like super sought after image, but yeah, it's like, you know, it's like just make little runs. I don't know.
I brought that up in the Jake podcast. I was like, these brands who are out here saying that like they can't keep up with demand or I'll never be able to fulfill the order quantity. They could just as easily add an extra digit onto the order sheet in the spreadsheet and be like, oh, instead of ordering 100 yo-yos, I'm ordering 200. Like, well, you know what I mean? And instantly they have enough for everyone. But
yeah. But it's like the fact that it sells out keeps them selling in a way.
Right, exactly. No, 100%. Cool. Yeah. It's just you can't fake the fuck. Like Nike isn't coming out and being like, oh, the tier 1 dunks that are only available via raffle at the skate shop. Like, we wish we could make more, but they're just such high quality and handmade by a cobbler in Korea. It's like, no, you're just artificially decreasing supply to inflate demand. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of companies that are guilty of that. And like you said, it's cool, but like, it's just whack when those same brands then go to the public and are like, we just could never fulfill this demand. I'm sorry, guys. Like, and it's like, no, you're just lying. And like,
it's like that just makes it seem even cooler to the people who missed out.
Right,
like,
and it's all a facade because they don't know how many are really being made. And then when you're at YoYoExpert, it's like kind of eye-opening when you're like, oh, you're only getting this many? Like, which makes it even cooler when the yo-yo, like the motif comes in. I only thought they got 20 of each color. And then Andre was like, oh, we got like 25 or 26 of each color. I was like, damn, that's wild. So they sold even more than I thought. Like, so they probably sold like 60 of those so far, something crazy. They're basically all sold out. We were looking at them today. There's only like 10 or 11 in stock left. It's crazy. That's awesome to see. You know what I mean? That a brand that like has a popular player made a yo-yo and it sold through and they're doing their due diligence to promote it and like the cycle goes on, you know what I mean? It's just dope to see. Yeah, and it, you know, people, the consumer actually supports it and that's awesome. What are some like hidden perks at working at YoYoExpert?
Definitely like first dibs on yo-yos.
Yeah, but there's not, like you said, that many. You're not like one of those guys. It was funny a few months ago. I brought Mark Mangarin and Colin up and we shot some tutorials that I still haven't edited. But when we were shooting them afterwards, Andre was like, oh yeah, like if you guys want to pick out some yo-yos, go for it. And I like the new freehand one came out. So I like got one of each of those and it was like cumulative $80 or something. It wasn't that much. And then immediately Mark and Colin are like, could we get a yo-yo wreck yo-yo? I'll buy it from you like wholesale if you want me to. He's like, nah, you can take it. It's all good. It was just like, damn, dog, like you're really out here giving away yo-yo wreck yo-yos.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but like you said, you get first dibs, you know what I mean? But you're not like that kind of guy where you're like, oh, I'm clamoring for this this yo-yo. Like you could probably get whatever you wanted to, you know? But it is cool to see everything come in and process it and like... It's nice when I worked at YoYoFactory just having like access to all those unlimited parts. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I need a bearing. I'm just going to walk over to the bearing aisle and grab a bearing. Or like, oh, I need new pads. Like, oh, I'll just get a new set of pads. Like, you don't have to order it and then wait or go to A to Z or whatever. Yeah. You're even spoiled having A to Z and YoYoExpert so close to being a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
There's so many kids who have to buy that and then wait 4 or 5 days. And
no way. It's just like a 20-minute ride for me and I just get it right there.
Right, and then you get to hang out with Andre for a bit if you're a kid, right? It's awesome. I'm actually going to cut the clip again before, so I don't have to keep looking at it.
I remember once, the first time I went to YoYoExpert, Andre was like, he was like giving me the tour and shit.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, what kind of string do you use?
What year was this?
This was like last year, I think.
Oh, okay.
Like for the Big E, like the first time.
That was the first time you ever went to YoYoExpert?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. But yeah, I just sold a magic yo-yo string and he's like, okay, well, next yo-yo we have it. Like, just totally ignored it. Like.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah, because Andre's definitely not that guy. Like, he'll use whatever, but he knows, like, oh, this is the best stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean? But he can make whatever work. He's a very old school guy like that, where it's like, oh, he didn't have any of these luxuries when I was little, so, like, I'll just use whatever the fuck. It's hilarious when you go to pick up one of his yo-yos around his office or something, and it's like, this plays like shit. What the fuck is going on with this? Like, it's an old-ass string with hella knots and stuff, and you're just like, what is going on here? Like, probably Pierce got a hold of it or something, but it's just like, Jesus. Like, a kid the other day at the Big E came up and he was like munching on some cotton candy and he got the little drone, the ball drone, and was like asking how to work it and like bought one. And then I went to go plug the demo one back in, and like as soon as I picked it up, it was just so sticky. And I took it over. God. I'm like, Curdy, like, look at how sticky it is. He literally just touched his knuckle to it and it like pulled the skin on his knuckle back on, and he was like, what the fuck? To like rub it down with rubbing hand sanitizer real quick. Yeah. That was funny.
Shout out Dookie's room. What?
It's got an inch of vape. Our friend Dookie, a yo-yo player, has he's a big vapor, and like I guess when you vape in like an enclosed room, if you smoke like a cigarette in an enclosed room, you'll start to see like nicotine coming down the walls and stuff. But like you'll see that might be what it is. Is it nicotine or just vapor from the exhaling of vape?
The vegetable glycerin. Yeah.
The vegetable glycerin.
All just being dispersed into the room.
You can make a fucking stock foot Italian wedding soup off this fucking table here.
I met Dookie for the first time at Nationals, and he told me that I looked like you from 2007.
What the hell?
Yeah.
And then I pulled up a video of you in 2007. And I was like, oh shit, like I see it.
You were like, damn, I didn't know Tyler this old. He's gonna die soon. What did you watch of me from 2007?
It was like it was your World's freestyle, like where you had the like snapback and the long hair.
Yeah. It's funny because like, yeah, you're being so young, like. I'm sure your parents, like when you got like new shoes and stuff, were aware of how big your feet were.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching that freestyle, I was wearing a pair of like Joey Fleshman sneakers. He just had an old pair of like Vans slip-ons I really liked, and he just gave them to me. But I thought they were so cool. And I wore them all the time, but they were like a size 10 and a half, and I'm like a size 8 and a half. It's like just way too big sneakers. Like I look like crazy with a bunch of stickers all over my shirt. And it was just a different time, you know what I mean? Now yo-yoing just looks way cooler and more professional, and like that's dope. That's funny though. How did you feel about Dookie?
Oh, he's great.
He's great.
What did I assumed he talked your ear off. Did you meet Gecko today, or when did you ever meet
No,
Gecko?
I've met Gecko before.
Yeah, it's a very similar character where like they just talk a lot and like they just hate dead air. Like they can't stand like just chilling and like no one's talking to one another. And like, it's like they're always performing like they're on a podcast like we are now. And, like they feel weird if no one's saying anything. Yeah. I wish I was there just so we could have hung out with Dookie together. Cause he's like, Dookie is in rare form at yo-yo contests. Mm-hmm. Like he turns into regular. He's like Cinderella. When regular life, he's regular Dookie, and he's just making Dookie moves. When I stayed over at his house one time, we all stayed up till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning yo-yoing and shit. And like, we all woke up extra early. It was like me, Paulo, Kai. I filmed this old video called like Dookie's Backyard. And it's like a really cool video. Like everyone's doing amazing tricks. But like the next morning we all wake up and Dookie's parents, they have this big ass house in Sacramento. It's like 2,500, 3,000 square feet.
Oh, damn.
Like an amazing fucking crib. It's like a condo, but it's like very, very nice. And we wake up and we like eat all Dookie's cereal and shit. His parents like, oh yeah, eat it up. Like go for it. Like we're like, are you sure we shouldn't save some for Dookie? And he's like, nah, David is lazy. Like he'll wake up when he gets up. Like just openly talking shit on him. And then like he wakes up like an hour later after we're all done eating breakfast. And he's like goes to pick up the box of Fruity Pebbles that's empty. And he's like, there's no fucking Fruity Pebbles left. And his dad is like, that's what happens when you sleep in, David. And he's like, you could have asked him not to eat all of it. And he's like, stop being lazy. We've been up for hours entertaining your friends that you invited over. It was like so funny to see someone interact with their parents like that. And someone that's just too tired to like care about not the embarrassment, but you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is a conversation I should have like separately with my parents, not like in front of all my friends. You're that shit.
Every time I'm over there and I wake up early, his dad's like, are you sure? Like, eat all you want. Like, try to like incentivize me to eat.
Yeah, I think they
same
like
exact thing. Dookie wakes up. He's like, what the fuck?
Where's all the eggs, the bacon? Like, Michael ate it all. I told him to eat it. He's a growing boy over here. Not you. You gave up. What? Dad, fuck you. Oh my God. We love Dookie, but he has like those traits like that just continue throughout his life that are so funny. One time we were at Disneyland together. Disney World is the one in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at the one in the West Coast because Duncan was having a contest there. And we were like doing dabs in the room and like it reeks like weed in there, right? And we like had the window open and stuff. We're trying to do our best, but it's like it reeks like weed. Yeah. And then of course security comes and they like knock on the door and they're like, it smells like marijuana in that room. Like you've got to open the door, let us in. Then Dookie, like I go open the door because I'm like, they're just gonna fucking open the door forcefully, and then they're gonna make us pay for a new fucking door at that point instead of just like, you know, the room charge for smoking. And then like I'm talking to the security guards, like not letting them fully in the room, and Dookie's like, tell them it's medicinal. Tell them it's CBD. Tell them we're vaping. Tell them I have a med card. We're vaping. And I'm like, we obviously are clearly caught smoking in a Disneyland hotel room. Like, we're getting a smoking charge. Like, they're not okay with us doing this. Like, and he's just trying every excuse in the book to be like, tell them this, tell them that. We're not doing something wrong.
There was this one time I went to a hotel for a yo-yo contest, and I like checked into the hotel. I was by myself. I went onto the bed, and I just like took like 2 or 3 fat rips of my vape first thing. I was like just relaxing, and the fucking smoke alarm went off right in front of me. It was like right above my head. Yeah, and I took it to the lobby, and like it was going off like in my hands at the lobby.
Did you rip the wires out of the ceiling, or?
Well, at first I just went to the lobby and I was like, I was taking a really hot shower. And they were like, oh, it's okay, just bring it in here. And yeah, I at least removed it from the wall.
Yeah, like, this is an interesting grape brulee shower. It smells like an aquamarine menthol shower you're taking in here, bud.
It was awful. It's like 3 rips of the vape. And I was like,
and then you have to run downstairs and be like, I don't know what's happening. I'm 16 years old. Please help. My dad isn't here. The first time I ever took Colin to a contest at BAC, we were doing dabs in the room. We set off the smoke alarm, and like he wasn't like shook, but he was just like, oh God, here we go. And I like ripped the smoke alarm out of the ceiling, like all the wires and everything, and it just stopped ringing. And then hotel came up, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening in here. Like crazy. It was totally fine. That happened at the room in at Coal City too, though, right? Remember? We were dabbing in the hotel, and I was like telling that story as it happened. I had to rip it out of the ceiling.
oh wow, that's incredible. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Not really, honestly. I don't know if it
I
was,
swear we were staying in the same room.
we definitely were, but it actually
Because
went
I was
off.
trying to put the bag around it, remember? And I had to like stand between the Chano was there, and who else was there? I forget.
Well, Hudson was there.
Hudson
I
was
remember
there,
the
yeah.
trip, but okay. Yeah.
No, it's just funny. God, I can't believe I had to do that twice now. Rip fucking entire smoke alarms out of the ceiling. I'm trying to think of some other good yo-yo expert related questions. That's a good topic.
Jerry, what yo-yo would you assassinate?
Oh God. I'm gonna say Aiden Coach.
Aiden, that's your... You guys got a duel. You guys
Yeah.
should make a spy versus spy video series. So Aiden is your number one
I
assassination
think
target.
so. I mean, if I'm his number one, he's got to be mine.
That's a good point, yeah.
An eye for an eye.
Yeah, that's how the world works for sure. Especially in the future in America. And right now, actually. So you're now sponsored by Throw Spiral, right?
Yes.
Which is a team or a yo-yo company coming out with some more yo-yos, right? In production. Who's the guy that owns it?
Jamie Larkins.
Jamison Larkins, yeah.
Yes.
He just got interviewed by Jake, and I've been like chatting with him on Instagram. And I didn't know who Matt Doyle was at first, but I just saw like a random video of him the other day. I was like, this guy is fucking good.
Yeah, he's real fucking good.
This guy is a good yo-yo player. But you were on YoYoFactory before, right?
Yeah.
How long were you on YoYoFactory
A
for?
little over 2 years.
Jesus Christ, I
Yeah.
forgot it. I guess it was the pandemic, like
Yeah.
the length of the pandemic or before the pandemic.
Just about.
When did you get on YoYoFactory?
I got on in October of 2019.
God, what a...
Yeah. Didn't they sponsor like Jax and
Yeah, Jax and Ryan.
It was all around the same
Okay.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
Who else? You, Jackson, Ryan, right?
Yeah, and Lucas.
And Lucas, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, and then it sucks because the pandemic happened, but like, you know, it is what it is. And now you're on like a smaller team. And that seems to be like a reoccurring trend in yo-yoing where people will leave a sponsor that is seemingly larger, but in exchange for a sponsor that can pay closer attention to you and your needs and like not even necessarily monetary needs, but just like you want more yo-yos or more string, whatever the case may be. It could be very simple, but if you're one of 70 people on a team and it's like, you know what I mean? You don't want to email someone 50 times.
Exactly.
But I'm trying to think of a good wording for you. Like what's some other benefits of being on a big team versus a little team, I guess? Cause like being on YoYoFactory, that was probably, or like, I don't know. You tell me. I don't want to speak for you, but like, because we've talked off the record, or like other people have mentioned off the record, just like difficult communication
Yeah.
and like, and that's not anyone's. I mean, it's everyone's fault. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's a big company, like I was just saying. So it's like, how many times are you going to email someone to try to get an answer about something or message someone? And it's like, when you work with a smaller company, even if they don't make as much stuff and you don't get as cool of benefits, it's like you at least feel the attention being paid to you, and like you feel more like your opinion matters, and like you could actually go somewhere and make a difference. And like in the event that you do get a pro model, like you will inevitably get a pro model in a smaller brand, because like you're going to work to promote them, and like they're going to need to make more yo-yos, and it's a good feature to have with someone who's on the team. It all works hand in hand. Versus YoYoFactory, you're like the only people who have pro models on YoYoFactory, like entire pro models, are national and world champions at this point, I guess, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, which is crazy. That's like an insane metric to have. That's like truly 1% of the 1%. And like any other brand, it's like Caribou Lodge, nobody, I take that back. Most people on their team are doing pretty well competitively, but someone like Riccardo Ferlini from Italy, like he did pretty well at Italian Nats, but that's not like some super notable contest where it's like, oh, Riccardo had a sick freestyle at Nats. It's like people watch him for his tricks on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, give me some more benefits of being on a small team versus a big team. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I guess it's just like, I also think the whole like the team like bonding is a lot better on a smaller team, just because like there's fewer of you, so you get a lot closer. Like the group chat, it's only like 4 of us, so like, you know, I feel like a lot of a bigger connection, whereas on YoYoFactory, like I really just felt the connection with like the people I got sponsored with.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've never really thought about that, but yeah, it's like the difference between going to like a lecture hall for a college class versus like a smaller class. And that's interesting. And you get more say in the product that's coming out too, I'm sure.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Like,
because YoYoFactory is like a machine, or Duncan is a machine, so like they need yo-yos coming out regardless because they got bills to pay. And it's like, you know, other brands are like that too, but if it's your pro model, if you're like, oh, like let's make another prototype, or let's do this or do that, they're probably a little more lenient with like holding it back and respecting your opinion. So that's cool. Is there anything else that you can think of, positive and negative benefits?
I'd say definitely, like, I feel like,
I know to us it seems like common sense, but to regular people, they probably look at people like, I mean, this would have been a good question for Dylan too when he was on the podcast, where it's just like, oh, you were on Duncan, and it's like, it's not like Duncan is a massive team, but it's definitely like much larger, and like you're not as much of a priority as you are on A Good Life or something, so it's less attention being paid to you. But what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Oh, I guess it's just like, I don't know, just like the attention you get on a smaller team, like you definitely feel like more like appreciated.
Yeah, like a priority, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it sucks because it sounds like I'm playing devil's advocate and being like, oh, the way that YoYoFactory acted.
Oh no,
is
and
right.
like it's not like they were bad or anything.
No, but like it sucks because like I was reading this this guy who owns a skate shop right now, and he's in like skateboarding. They'll flow a skater product, meaning like you aren't on the team, but you get free product because like maybe one day you'll be in the position like for some reason that will decide to officially sponsor you. And yo-yoing is kind of similar to that, but like it's a numbers game where it's like, oh, if we give product to 100 different skaters, if 1% of them makes it, then like that's, you know, or 5% of them makes it, then like hopefully that pays for all the product we distributed. And it, you know, we don't need a plan for that one guy because he's good enough and he's going to do his own thing, that like we can just capitalize and monetize that versus like developing a direction for the player. Because on a smaller team, that's kind of what they're almost forced to do in a way. Or like if the person doesn't have their own volition to say that they want to move in a certain direction, that company can dedicate focus to you to help develop you as a player or personality and be like, oh, maybe we should make a yo-yo like this, or you should make videos like this, or whatever the case may be. Versus when you're on a big team, it's like, we already got like 10 world champions and national champions and this guy on America's Got Talent and all this other shit. So like, what are you doing for us? Like,
a one trick circle a month.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's valuable to a lot of people though. You know what I mean? Or your opinion matters in a market like this where Andre, YoYoExpert and A to Z, has a captive audience of 60, 100 kids that come buy yo-yos locally every month. You know what I mean? And they respect your opinion. Like, oh, Jerry, what yo-yo should we buy? Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. That shit matters, you know? And like, you could definitely sell a good amount of throw spiral yo-yos versus like in other regions where like they don't have any representation. So even just from that one post, you know what I mean? Definitely. And you being in person and teaching yo-yo class or actually interacting with kids. So
yeah, no, like the kids are like, ever since I started teaching yo-yo school, like they're very interested in like throw spiral and like what they're like planning on doing. And like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. They're always asking me like, oh, like what's next from throw spiral? And it's like,
cause you're like their Angelo, you know what I mean? Every kid that comes up and is like, can you go Godspeed? Do you know DNA? Yeah. And like they're introduced to yo-yoing through personalities. Like those kids at club look up to you and like you're their personality. And it's like, oh, throw spiral is sick. Like I would support you. Like I always harp on this with a lot of new brands, and when they're asking just about who they should add to the team or like what stores they should sell yo-yos to and stuff, it's like you can have a yo-yo at Slušný, but if you don't have a player in the Czech Republic, like you're not really going to sell many unless it's like a very cheap yo-yo or like, and that's nothing against them. It's just like they don't buy like a ton of yo-yos unless because they have really good players there that they can support instead of some guy that they don't know with a brand they don't know, and you know, so it makes sense. But yeah, it's such a yo-yo rich area here that it's a cool opportunity for anyone to sponsor players from here. And I don't know. It's awesome. I'm surprised that like there isn't more of a push from brands how like they view Japan as its own region and Mexico as its own region, or they try to sponsor players in every community so that they have influence there, where it's like there's a scene here of like dozens of kids, like I said, 80 to 100 people who are willing to spend money on yo-yos, money being like more than $50 on a yo-yo. So it's like, if that's here, like that's a captive audience. Like, why aren't you working with them more? But yeah, that's interesting. Are you excited to see contests come back? I think you guys are running a contest coming up in November.
Yeah, I believe.
Do you know when? Did Andre mention yet? It's in my text, but I don't want to look back again.
November 12th is the plan.
Is that the first weekend? No, it can't be the first weekend.
I think it's the second weekend.
The weekend before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. That'll be fun. We're coming up for that, Curdy, right? You'll come up for it?
I think so, yeah.
Sick.
I'm going to put my feet up.
Keep it lax.
My one foot is falling asleep. These shoes are going to be cooked after the biggie. Got them from the thrift store, $8.99. Damn. Yeah, they were brand new when I got them.
That's a steal.
I only buy things in the thrift store really anymore, except for these Ralph Lauren socks. I got these from like Marshalls or TJ Maxx or something. But
I keep stepping on horse shit everywhere around the biggie.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And these hoodies Curdy and I bought from Walmart the other night. Curdy is cosplaying as a construction worker.
Pretty good.
I like to have fun on the job. Yeah.
There's this in Delaware. There was this crazy story about a guy who he was a construction worker, and they were telling the story in another podcast because like his family owns a it's not even a construction company. They own a fucking concrete hole where like construction companies can go dump like their waste and like they're just gonna bury the hole eventually when it gets filled up or whatever. But like he was talking about how this guy that runs one of the cranes there, they're like, yeah, when we bought the property from this guy, or like we're leasing this one corner of it from him, he's like, yeah, you just gotta hire my boy Mike, like, and Mike's gonna come, he's very reliable, he's be there every day unless he's drunk or in jail. And they're like, all right, cool, man, like that sounds pretty good. And then one day he doesn't show up, and like the guy calls him, he's like, yeah, Mike ain't coming back. He's in jail. And they're like, for what? And they're like, oh, he murdered his wife. And they're like, oh, Jesus. Like,
damn, Mike.
Like, so it's like, yo, he's very trustworthy. Unless he's in jail.
That was the first thing I thought. I was like, what did he do to get in jail? Like, But they told the story of like, he was operating this crane, and like one of the guys that hosts the podcast, he like hopped in the crane, like moved something around. He's like, there's fucking like 14 empty twisted tea bottles in this bitch. What's going on? He's like, Mike, you drinking on the job in here, bro? And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, there's fucking a dozen twisted teas bottles in here. Like, you drunk right now? He's like, Those things have alcohol in them.
Light buzz at the most.
What's that?
Light buzz at the most.
I know. It's just like, what a funny
my God.
excuse. It's like, yeah, who drinks 13 iced teas in the middle of the day? Just like, oh yeah, man, they're making me feel great. Like, but yeah, then he murdered his wife.
Terrible.
Yeah, Delaware
sad.
native. This is where I come from. Last week or a few weeks ago, one of like the major news publications printed a story about the quality of life in all the states, in Delaware ranked like second to lowest from
shit.
like Alaska and fucking some like Montana or something random.
Oh, no.
It's like, Jesus Christ. But they're pretty right. It's pretty accurate. You know what I mean? There's no opportunity there. There's not like any industry. There used to be a Chrysler plant there. So like if you wanted to get a factory job assembling cars, at least you could go do something shitty with that. But like there's not even that anymore. Like it's just awful. Like I remember growing up there and being like, God, the world is an awful place. And as soon as I left, just being like, wow, like nowhere else is like Delaware. Like it's so shitty here. Yeah, do you have any other comments about being on a big team versus a little team? Jameson's a cool guy. He's a
He
cool
really is.
team manager.
Yeah, he like really cares about our input, and like whenever there's like a product coming up, he's like, I want you guys to like tell me what you like want changed or like
Yeah,
any opinion.
and I've only exchanged maybe like 30 or so messages with him, but I can tell he's like a very genuine and humble dude. Like
Yeah.
he like cracks a lot of jokes and stuff, but in like a very good way. And he's
Yeah.
like not afraid to let you know how he feels about things, whether or not it's gonna like affect your opinion or not. Like he's not afraid to like make jokes about things that like he knows that I've like previously endorsed, but like
Yeah.
they're not wrong jokes, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But it's cool to meet someone like that that's just like, it's not like a fuck you attitude. It's just like I'm kind of confiding in you making this joke, and like, you know, I do the same thing a lot, and it's like it bites me in the ass a lot, or I'll stick my foot in my mouth, like making a joke maybe I shouldn't have, or around. I remember like one of my first weeks at YoYoFactory, I was driving with Hans to the YoYoFactory office, and I was talking about my dad and like how he's a cop and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, like how was that growing up?" And I was like, "I don't know, like he's just kind of like a crazy Republican dude, you know, like how all Republicans are," and like not knowing that Hans is Republican at the
no.
time, and it's like, obviously any fucking white man in America who's a millionaire is probably gonna be a fucking
Yeah.
Republican, you know, not all of them, but like a lot of them,
Yeah.
you know, Andre isn't.
A big majority.
Yeah, a fat majority. And I'm like 17 at the time, not even thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, you know, just like all Republicans are inherently racist. Like they just don't support people of color. Like they just don't want to see poor people succeed. So I just can't imagine how Hans was thinking about that
Oh
at the
my
time.
God.
Like, oh, look at this fucking kid. Like he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
But it was just funny at the time thinking about later, because I remember saying that and being like, oh man, Hans didn't even say a word to me. He just totally let me run my 17-year-old mouth. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, yeah, racist fucking Republicans. Like, I wasn't wrong, but like he could have at least, you know, tried to say something different. But anyway. Yeah, it's cool that Jameson is so like down to earth about everything, and it's cool. And he designs an amazing yo-yo. Like Jake is working on a collab with him, and like him and Jake were just like shooting the shit one night, and like it wasn't like a weird like he loves Jake or anything. It was just like, oh, like I'm happen to be up, and like within like 2 hours he sent Jake like the finished CAD files.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this would be cool to make. And Jake was like, what the fuck? Like, sweet. All right, man. Like, yeah, we'll definitely do this. Like,
Yeah, like his like CAD abilities are crazy.
That's
like,
awesome.
He can just whip something up like
Yeah.
overnight.
and people love that Kappa yo-yo, right? Is that what that blue yo-yo
Yeah.
is?
Yeah,
They're
no,
still in stock YoYoExpert. Flash it
Yeah.
for the camera.
That thing's sweet.
pick one up.
There's not many left at YoYoExpert, but yeah, that one's great. Do you guys have any yo-yos planned coming out? Jameson said that you guys have a lot of shit coming, or he has like ideas that he's working
Yeah.
on. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, the Nimbus should be coming out soon.
What is that?
Oh, that's Adrian Esteban's signature
Oh,
yo-yo.
that's right. Okay. I thought you said Adrian Velez earlier, and I was like, what the fuck? He's on Throw Spiral? And I was like, oh, no, wait. No, he's not. Was he on Throw Spiral?
No.
Okay. Yeah. What other Nimbus?
There's the Sliver, which is a collaboration with MK1.
Is that going to be a slimline yo-yo?
Yeah,
Okay.
that already came out, but I think there should be more of those.
What does that look like?
It's like really narrow. I don't know. It's narrow. That's the best way I can describe it.
That's the best way to describe all slimline yo-yos.
Yeah.
Like even when you cut across like a cross section for a slimline yo-yo, they all look the fucking same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's not like one that's dramatically different than the other one, or like, except for Spencer Berry's slimline yo-yos. Ever played with his? Those are like really, the Walter and the Theodore. Those are really unique and like play really well, and like you could write like a thesis about like how those play. It's like the art yo-yos where it's like an instrument where like you gotta be like a professional to really know how to play an instrument. Like when you're in band in high school and those kids start playing like alto sax or like baritone clarinet, and it's like, you're a fucking weirdo. Like that's how like when people play with those weird yo-yos, you know what I mean? Not like in a bad way. It's just like, it's a unique piece of equipment, you know what I mean? Definitely. Like you got to know how to play yo-yo to use one of these things. Because if you're just like not coming correct, you're going to be like, this is a bad yo-yo. And it's like, no, you just are kind of trash. So like that's probably why you can't use it, you know?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, go ahead, sorry.
I started playing tenor sax in high school just so me and Aiden could dick around for an extra period.
That's funny. That's awesome. But yeah, that's sick. Great parallel there. You know?
Yeah.
Everyone I knew that played all those alternative instruments in high school band, it's like, what the fuck is your problem? French horn for real? Like, you want to play French horn? Or the director just talk you into that?
Like, what's your interest in bassoon, buddy?
Yeah, like Jesus Christ. What brand are we talking about other than art that has yo-yos that play like that?
Spencer Berry.
Spencer's, yeah. Where they're just like very unique, and like his play great. Like they're not at all like that, but they're just so unique and interesting. And like, I don't know. He's releasing another one soon. He always tries to like gift me them every time we hang out, and I feel like the worst friend because I turn them down, and I'm like, I will never play with it. Like I just don't yo-yo enough to deserve something like, because he puts so much work and effort and thought into them that like. And he's a great friend of mine, so I don't want to like disrespect him in taking something that he worked so hard on for it to just sit on a shelf. And it's like he could sell it, and they're like $300 or $400. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't want to take $400 from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if it was my favorite yo-yo ever, I'd gladly take it. You know what I mean? But like I'm not just gonna take something you could sell that is really good. What else with Throw Spiral? Where's the name come from? Is this shirt you're wearing?
Yeah, this is a Throw Spiral shirt.
Did John make those?
I'm not sure.
John Wolf?
I don't think so. I think
No.
these just came. I think Jamie just like
That's sick.
ordered them from
I was
factory.
perusing his Instagram profile the other day. I didn't know how that he did like all this merch and stuff already.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like that's such a cool direction that yo-yo is eventually headed into, but like people just yo-yoers aren't ready. I was explaining this to the recess team a few weeks ago about like the cost benefit analysis for yo-yo players and when they decide to buy something, because like a nice t-shirt is going to run like at least $30 if you print it yourself, you know what I mean? Like, or you heat press it yourself. It's for you to sell it to Andre, and then for Andre to sell it to the consumer, it's going to be at least $28 to $30 like on the low end for a nice t-shirt that's not just like a regular Gildan off the rack. And then it's like, how many fucking premium metal yo-yos do you sell for $30 that outplay every YoYoFactory metal yo-yo on the shelf? Like how many Tapios, how many yo-yo friends? Like the Dove, how much does the Dove retail for?
Like $30.
Right. And I'm not saying it outplays every YoYoFactory. It plays on par with all those yo-yos. You know what I mean? And it's like, how many of those kids want to spend $30 on a nice t-shirt? That like they're gonna be like, oh, this is fucking 600 grains per square meter cotton, and like it's an 8-ounce t-shirt versus the 4-ounce Gildan, and like this is gonna last me 20 years. I can't wait to wear this into my 40s. Like no one thinks about it that way. They're going to Forever 21 and buying a shit t-shirt, and then they're like, oh, a $30 yo-yo. I'm gonna spend my money on that. So it's cool to see Jameson trying to like forage that route as it's not even available, you know what I mean? Because I'm another brand that tries to do that, and it's like, damn, respect, you know what I mean? Because it's not everyone on my team complains that like the quality of the stuff could be nicer, and I'm like, guys, no one's gonna buy that. Trust me. Like I want to, like I would love to make a fucking $35 t-shirt that is cuts and sewn in the United States, and like I get hand printed by my friend in Philly and whatever. But like for now, we're gonna have to make do, and like it just is what it is. This is every yo-yo team. We can make a round of champion T-shirts for you guys, but like you're just gonna wear them for a month and then throw them away. So like, who cares?
I think this is champion.
Right? Yeah. But he made it for you guys, and you're wearing it proudly, and you're stoked on it, and
It's
it's
cool.
great.
I like logos that like don't have yo-yo in them or anything.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
That could be like anyone could see that and just think it's a cool shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
I wear Better Off Alone stuff all the time, and like Curdy's been with me. I get compliments on it constantly, and people will be like, "Oh, it's like a sick shirt. Where did you get that from?" And not like in where were we the other day where people were like trying to sell us shit, and like it was really uncomfortable. I forget.
Not at the Big E, damn.
No. Oh no, it was with Mad Science in the booth where like they're just trying to like they there was a kid that came in with like a Dolphins hat, and you know like when you go into a place where they get paid based off commission, they're just always trying to find a way to like find common ground with you and being like, oh, sick shirt, man. Like when you wear like Supreme in the mall and like the guy at Zoomies is aware of what Supreme is, he's instantly like, oh, sick hat, bro. Like what season? Like where'd you get that from? Like, oh, I really tried to get that one or whatever. They just try to like make any sort of connection with you possible, and they can be like, oh, socks are buy two get one free over there if you want to go get some of those. That's like, god damn it, like it just you get fed a line, you know what I mean? I forget where I was going with that, but
Gary and the Dolphins hat?
Yeah, I can't ever do shit like that. I can't.
The Big E is just like the fair we've been working at. It's the epitome of that.
Yeah. God, I had such a great point to make with that. I forget now. What were we talking about for that? Just the t-shirt and quality of clothing, and anyway, yeah. I'm stoked. Throw Spiral sounds like a cool brand.
Yeah.
Are you working on a model eventually, I guess? How many people are on the team? It's only you, Matt,
and Adrian.
Adrian, just y'all three?
Yeah.
That's a solid team too. Like that's dope.
It's great.
I love teams that are taking that route now where it's more focused in the direction of like you guys all could be like a band, you know what I mean? And it would make sense. Or you guys all aesthetically match one another, and it's not like, and I could see you all being friends, and like it's not like a weird thing. Even Jameson, you know what I mean? It's not like a weird like, oh yeah, it's like the weird guy that owns the company and like gives us yo-yos, and like that's dope.
Yeah, like it just he's like part of the team. Like,
yeah,
it's great.
What else? Do you have any other YoYoFactory Throw Spiral comparisons? I like talking about big team versus little team stuff because I feel like I said earlier, just so many people look at the bigger squads in yo-yoing or they're like, oh, I want to be that. And then everyone who gets in that position, they don't realize what being sponsored is. Like being sponsored is being put in position, you know what I mean? And it's like, if you're ready to work, like YoYoFactory is great. I'm not saying you weren't ready to work. It's just like, you're not trying to be Gentry. Yeah, so it's like
I don't want to be TikTok famous.
Yeah, that's not the place for you. So it's like, and not a lot of teams really make that clear, or like, I don't know. So it's cool that like you're in on a team that's like really direction focused and based, and it's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, I think one like the thing that people don't realize is like even when you're on a small team, like the benefits can be pretty similar, especially when you're like
they could be better.
Yeah, like when you're a player like me, like you're not a big name, like you're not like super like out there on the internet, like you really get the same amount of stuff.
Right. I always really hammer that home to people who are basically getting flowed product. It's like you're getting the best part of being sponsored. Exactly. Like no one is getting their flights paid for really, very rarely, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's what I mean by it could be better if you're on a smaller team where it's like Jameson only has to take care of 3 people versus like
70.
Yeah, when you're on Dunkin' or YoYoFactory, it's just like a game of telling however many people that you can know, and then like the couple people who really, really deserve it being like, okay, like we'll pay for your shit this one time. Like yeah, it's awesome. I see a lot of players moving that direction. Like Hamdog did that with Mark 1 and like or MK1, however you say it, and like everyone probably thought he was crazy at first, and it's like now he's on a brand that's like basically the size of SF before SF dropped out of the game, and it's like he's that much bigger of a player and a personality in the
Yeah.
community versus being like basically on like the farmer team of SF, you know what I mean? Like a protege team or whatever, or super, what were they calling it?
Strong future.
Strong future. Yeah. So,
Yeah, no, I'm so happy for Ham Dog. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, like he was definitely like he really like considered like his options when he was considering making the move, and like I really think he made a good decision with that.
Yeah, he's a smart kid.
Yeah.
I follow him on Instagram and I love watching his journey into college right now.
He's great. He's one of my favorite people in the community.
I'm just like taking L's on Uber Eats and being like, why does everyone hate me? He's got to be a little more authoritative, him. Meet the Uber driver down there, yell at them.
Ham Dog would never though. He's
No,
too nice.
I know. Yeah. Oh, he's a good kid.
He really is.
Trying to think of some other good topics. That's really all I have for topics. If you haven't eaten carbonara, what's your favorite Italian food?
Does lasagna count as Italian?
Yeah. I don't think that's an American Italian thing, is it? Do you know, Curdy?
I'm not 100%. I'm pretty sure that's just Italian.
It's Italian.
Yeah, definitely lasagna. I love me a good lasagna.
What's your favorite lasagna?
There's this like bar in my town called the Tavern.
You go out to get lasagna? I've never eaten lasagna at a restaurant in my life.
It's like when I go with like my grandparents for like a nice dinner.
Okay.
And like we're like their like favorite spot is the Tavern, so I'm like, okay, we
Jesus,
eat
they get
lasagna tonight, baby.
Wow, that's awesome. What's in it? Just sausage and shit, or
Yeah.
and hella ricotta cheese, the runny cheese.
Oh yeah.
It's good stuff. I haven't eaten lasagna in fucking a long time. My grandparents make that shit all the time, but not since they're older. But what about you, Curdy? What's your favorite Italian food?
I mean, I don't know. Probably pizza.
Yeah, pizza
It's
for me
hard
too.
to,
But
it's hard to
to
beat
beat that.
pizza.
pasta's good though. It's so like versatile, and you can do basically anything you want. It's like a sandwich. Like anything can be put into pasta, and like it's pretty
almost like
workable.
similar to pizza, you know? It's
It
like
is.
You got your dough, but they're in noodle form instead of, bread.
Yeah, and they're
bread-based.
both stolen from the Chinese too. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the Italians stole flatbread and noodles from the Chinese. Yeah. The older I get, the more I'm pissed in my pants. Not all the time, but just like I just can't control my bladder as I'm pulling my pants down. Maybe I just wait too long.
Oh, yeah, the excitement. It's these fucking antioxidants, dude.
You think so? You think it's the antioxidants? It's more than when I'm just drinking seltzers right now. It's often. It's not like I'm too old that I can't control my bladder. Like I said, I'm just waiting too long. You know what I mean? And then like, when you guys go swimming, do you have to like immediately pee afterwards? Yeah, I do the same thing. Like I get into the pool and I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta pee like immediately afterwards.
Or like when I take a shower, like even if I just peed,
Pee in the shower.
I gotta pee.
You pee in the shower though?
Yeah.
You pee in the shower, Curdy? Of course. Yeah, okay. It's just funny when people don't admit it, you know what I mean?
Everyone
Like,
does. There's just the people who
Some
admit
people
to it.
don't. Some
There's
people
the people
don't.
who admit to it, and there's the people.
No, you're okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
Everybody pees in the
Yeah.
shower.
Everyone pees in the shower. I was about to ask if either one of you have peed on someone in the shower before. One of my favorite pastimes. Not like from a kink perspective. It's just like you're showering with a person and then you just like go pee and you pee on their feet and they just get really offended, but because you're peeing on them technically, but it's their feet and you're, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. No, that's never happened.
Yeah, I can't say that's happened to me either.
Not a single time. Huh?
No, actually,
I'm gonna get a seltzer and make sure this is rolling. Oh yeah. Got all the piss talk. Hold on. Is this yours? Can you take this out and not drink it?
No.
Oh, I think.
Oh, maybe. No, I totally did. Yeah, I did do
Do
that.
you need another one?
No, I'm chilling.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I was worried earlier. I did you hear me fart when we were dabbing and I was sitting on that stool, Curdy? I was like really worried that I shit myself in the long johns, and I was like, oh man, everyone's gonna see that I shit myself in these long johns.
That's why you keep them tucked under your pants. That secret layer.
Yeah.
Back when I used to smoke, like I'd always just get the sensation that I was shitting myself, even though I wasn't, and I'd like keep having to check and be like, "Did I just fucking shit myself?"
What? Really?
Yeah, it's just like the muscles on my butt just like tensed up or something.
Whoa. Is that true, Curdy? Did that ever happen to you when you first got into nicotine?
Oh yeah, like nicotine. I remember when I first started, it was like I'd take like 2 hits. I'd be like, "Whoa,
I gotta shit off to the bathroom."
Yeah.
I feel like that probably got a lot of adults addicted. You know what I mean? When they couldn't go to the bathroom in the morning or something, and just smoke, and it's like, oh, man, this is
laxative.
great. Yeah,
Really helps out. Yeah.
it is pretty nice. I'm sure you remember when I was smoking blunts still, and I would just roll a blunt like first thing in the morning. Immediately go shit for like an hour. Should be sitting there reading CNN on the toilet, high as hell. Like, oh God, what's going on today? I used to wake up like extra early before Yo-Yo shows, like on YoYoFactory tour, just so I could like smoke in the bathroom before everyone else had to use the bathroom. Be like, oh, this is my peace of mind. Like,
This is my me time.
yeah, like run the shower as hot as I could, so like all the steam would come out, and just smoke a blunt on the toilet naked before the Yo-Yo show in the morning. Yeah.
Now it's medicinal.
Finally, oh God. Yeah, I was worried. About pissing myself outside just now, because I was like streaming as soon as it came out, and it was long. How do we start on that story? Oh, because I almost pissed myself outside. Yeah. I shart myself about once a quarter per year, every 4 months.
Honestly, I think I've shorted myself once in my life.
Your whole life?
It wasn't even bad.
Yeah.
I've always been confused. I'm like, how do you not, like, you can feel the difference beforehand. Like,
Really?
yeah.
Where do you feel it? Right in here?
In your gut. Yeah.
In your gut?
Trust your gut.
It's not a gut. It's not like a metaphorical gut feeling. It's a literal gut feeling.
Physical, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
I got a gut feeling about this fart, boys. I feel like that's where mine come from though, because I'll be sure, and like I'll just let a little out, and then like just the floodgates open. And it's not like a solid turd, obviously. I don't have to squeeze anything out. It's when I like, I don't know, maybe I drank like a bunch of pickle brine the day before. Like, some nefarious diet activity that obviously you just shit yourself afterwards, and it just happens. Maybe that's what I should lead with from now on. Instead of saying that I shit myself once every 4 months, it's when I go on detox. When I drink a jar of brine. When I drink 16 cups of vinegar. And void my bowels like a dead person. Do you know that, Jerry? When someone dies, they void their bowels.
I do know that.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So an episode of South Park, when Kenny died, he shit himself everywhere. I feel like
I've seen
that's
that
where
one.
everyone our age learned about it
Yeah.
from. What about you, Curdy? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Where'd you learn about it from? Do you remember?
I mean, like, my dog died once.
It just shit itself.
Yeah.
That's such an awful story. What the fuck? Your parents let you watch that?
I was there for it. Yeah. I was in the room and shit. Yeah, I saw the poop.
Damn.
Release.
Did they put like a pad underneath?
No.
They have to explain to you. They're like, the dog's
No,
gonna
that was
shit
pretty
itself
old.
after we kill it. So
I knew that was gonna happen.
it's just so morbid. Like, I don't know. Like when my mom died, like I don't know. She was pretty emaciated, so like I wasn't sure if she shit herself or not. But like, when hospice came there, I was thinking of that. I was like, damn, I wonder if she shit herself or not. Oh man, how old were you when this happened?
I was pretty old. I was like 17.
Okay, that's a different
I
story.
was 19 actually.
All right, but you learned about it then?
No, I knew before that. That was the first time I ever was like.
Well, not many people get
It's a real thing.
the privilege of witnessing a person that dies in front of them shit themselves. I'm sorry. This happened on your episode, Jake.
So yeah, really quite lucky to have experienced that.
Yeah, to see it live, it's pretty rare. It's like a comet. Well, not when people are dying in front of you. You're not like, let me see that asshole. It's not, especially my mom. I'm not.
Oh my god.
But it's just something that happens. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I was pretty old. I wasn't exactly expecting it, but like when I saw it, I was like,
I wouldn't have been able to stop laughing, even if it was my mom. I wouldn't have laughed. My own mom shit herself in front of me after she died. Yeah. How is that not funny? Seeing someone shit themselves.
Maybe, I don't know.
That's fucking comedy, man. That's like one of the worst things that could happen to you. You know what I mean? Especially while you're dying. That's like a double awful thing to happen.
But like, hey,
And you can't even clean yourself up afterwards. You're just sitting there dead as fuck, covered in your own shit. Like that's like the worst L you could take. I guess you're dead, so you don't really know what's happening. I used to think about that. People that died during the Trump administration. I'm like, damn, like. That would be my last thought if I was dying while Trump was president. It's like, oh, fuck, Trump is still president. Like, that's crazy. I know that's like the worst liberal thought to have, but it's just like, damn, he's really out here fucking shit up. Like, this is going to suck. Like,
no, it's real shit.
It is. Yeah. And it's not like you as a person can do anything to go change the world when this guy's president or whatever, but it just fucked up. You know what I mean? And it's funny thinking that because there were like, very staunchly liberal people that as they were dying, like their loved ones, when they're like in this crazy comatose state of hospice, being like, Trump got impeached. It's okay. You can go toward the light. And they'd be like, oh, thank God. And they would like die peacefully. But like, yeah, I used to think that. And now that I'm telling this whole joke, it's like, damn, that's wild. Like to think about that. Like you're dying and then you shit yourself. Like what a hell to take. You're already dying. Like, and then you just fucking shit yourself. Oh man. Also, what a cleanup for the coroner to have to do first thing is like, I got to deal with this dead body, and now they're covered in fecal matter.
Sad job.
Just got to clean a dead body covered in shit.
I hope they're paying you well, Mr. Coroner.
You guys know Abe Ziamir, right, from Caribou Lodge? He was like an older yo-yoer on Caribou Lodge. He used to do like maintenance around a cemetery, like just doing like landscaping and yard work and shit. But one day one of the grave diggers was like out, so he had to cover for him. Like normally it's like two guys or whatever, except to run like not a forklift, like a backhoe, like shit to dig fucking earth out of the ground. And they're like, oh hey, like can you come help us today because blah 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 is out. And he's like, oh yeah, sure. And then they start to dig this hole and they just like dig like one little trench and he's like, we gotta do anything else? Then like, no, just clean it up a little bit. This one's a baby grave, so it's pretty easy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was so funny because we asked her, like, man, like that must have been hard digging like that big ass hole. Where he's like, oh no, it was a baby grave, so it's only like a foot deep or something. Obviously deeper than a foot deep, but it's just mad funny. Oh man. Do you have anything else you want to cover, Jerry? I have a good, I guess, Aiden and Dylan.
Okay. Let's do it.
Say it like that. That's no, my only note is Dylan and Aiden seem to have a love-hate relationship with you, being one of their favorite white people, as well as the person they think might be the funniest to see assassinated at a yo-yo contest. Also, a person whose name sounds like a disease. Would you care to elaborate on any of that?
I mean, I guess I'd like to know why they think my assassination would be so funny.
Yeah, I think you're a pretty humble guy. I don't know. There's nothing, out of pocket about you that would be. I'd be sad if you got. I'd be sad if any of my friends got assassinated at a yo-yo contest. But it's not like you'd do anything funny. Like, it's not like when we talked about Eves and his reaction. Did you watch that?
I did.
Yeah, that would genuinely be funny because he wouldn't die. It would just be like a little flesh wound, and we could all laugh about it. And then later be like, oh, remember that time Eves got shot? But. And now we have to all have guns at yo-yo contests. And now YoYoExpert turned into gunexpert.com. Andre works for Smith & Wesson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to I have no idea how to
No,
go
it's
off on
okay.
this.
This is a loaded question. It was like when I was reading the contract for the Northampton
Yeah.
School District earlier, and it's just like covering every single. They were really going in during the episode. It was funny. Every opportunity they could to bring you up, they could. But it was just funny how conflicting it was. It'd be like, oh, the funniest yo-yo to get assassinated, Jerry, your favorite white person, also Jerry. Like, what? This is kind of funny. A little bit of conflicting opinion here.
I feel like if Dylan got assassinated at a contest, he'd somehow be able to turn that into something funny.
Yeah, he would also make not content out of it, but yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Dylan's quiet, so like it's not as funny as with Eves, where he would make an unnecessary scene.
Now, Dylan can be out there sometimes though. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Duncan team battle video from Scales Reopen.
No.
But it's just like, so it was him and Tyler and Justin Dower.
Okay, that's a funny trio.
And so Justin Dower is like yo-yoing. He was like the second person to go in the team battle. And fucking Dylan looks over at me, and it's the Mr. Blue Sky Lose Yourself remix that's playing.
Okay.
And
I love how Curdy knows exactly what that means. I'm like, I don't know what the
remember
fuck
this.
that
I remember
means.
this happening, yeah.
And then, so Dylan just looks over at me, and I just start dancing like an idiot because like that's our thing. Like we call it tweaking.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
We're just like we'll dance like that. So I start doing that off to the side of the stage, and then Dylan on stage just starts doing that, and you can see in the video like the camera like zooms away from Justin yo-yoing, and it's just Dylan dancing like an idiot.
Who was filming? Ben Gates?
Ben Gates.
Oh my god. And he's like, oh, look at that funny thing happened.
Yeah.
He didn't want to film the actual person.
Like Justin's like in the corner of the screen, and it's just Dylan going like.
Jesus Christ. That's really funny, actually, though. I love Dylan.
Dylan will just like talk on stage during freestyles too. Like he got like a knot or something at Scales, and he's like, "This is not happening today, guys."
Oh man, I've done that before.
Yeah.
It's like low key embarrassing because it just means that you're so like disassociated from what actually is going on. You're like, God damn it! Like I shouldn't be this comfortable in front of 100 people embarrassing myself, but I guess I am. I don't know. That's funny. Oh my gosh, my foot's falling asleep again. Should we go to local burger soon? What's your local burger order? I asked.
Oh,
the other
West
boys.
Hampton Burger,
Is that the one? What's on that?
bacon, barbecue, and ranch.
Why is that the West Hampton burger? Is there a lot of farmland out there?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all farmland.
Are there a lot of? Did you have any friends growing up that were in Future Farmers of America?
No,
There's so many of those kids at the Big E because they have all the agricultural shit going on, and the guy who runs the Half of the Mad Science booth is just he uses that as one of his sales tactics. He's like, oh, FFA. My daughter was an FFA for all 4 years, and all the kids are very like off-putting. They're like, yeah, like just I just want to buy a Nito and leave, please. Like leave me alone. Oh, is there anything else you want to cover?
I guess like I don't know, just like nah.
Keep on rocking in the
Keep
free
on
world.
rocking. Yeah.
Keep on yoing in the free world. It's a good one. What's so funny about keep on yoing in the free world?
I don't know. It's like the Nardwar outro.
It is. Yeah, that's a good point.
And do 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 do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good place to end it, I guess. Sure. What's your time looking like, Curdy? We can just end it. Not that it matters. But
What? Like, oh, the recording?
Yeah.
Well, this is the second one I started. Over an hour, though. 107.